everyone, it's your friendly winner and welcome back to chess.com, where I'm just reviewing the game against Carlsen Magnus versus Aronian Levon. So here Carlsen got the white pieces, and actually this is day 2 of the tournament. This is he actually Carlsen actually won every single match. So why don't we review this match? So we have d4, well, the standard opening, knight f6, c4. We have g4, knight to c3, d5. Now, well, probably this is actually all completely standard, and yeah, all completely standard here. So we have knight to f3. Now, actually, this is a kind of weird move because actually this d4 pawn is not at all needing any support. So it's actually a big problem here because now you brought the knight out of the cage that was trapped. Well, probably not a cage. This is not a problem. Well, this is everything standard stuff. But Carlsen played this weird move. So we have bishop to g7. Now, what does this do is, you can bring the knight out of f6 to e4, and then you can just attack the pawn. But not only attack the pawn, you can attack the pawn that is right in front of the knight. So if you move the pawn, or if you try to save both of them, it's not gonna work. Of course, maximum try. Queen to b3, d captures on c4, queen captures on c4. We have castles, and now this is actually all pretty standard here. e4, a6, e5. Now the point with a6 is because you just get the rook to move one step, and that actually doesn't make that much lot of sense here because that doesn't open the thing a lot, but it just exposes the a7 square. So like the dark square bishop, if it's getting attacked, something like say like that, and then a7 is the only square available, and a7 square covered by a knight or a rook, it's gonna be a problem. e5, b5, we have queen to b3, knight to g4. Now knight captures on knight f to d7 is actually much more pretty move, I guess. But actually the move really doesn't look very good here. So we have h3, knight to g4, h3, knight to h6, bishop to d3. We have bishop to e6. This is just plain bad luck for black, and it's actually all good. We have d5, knight to d7, and Carlsen missed a move here. We have bishop to f5, and we have bishop to b1. Sorry guys. Bishop to f5, bishop captures on h6, bishop captures on h6, bishop captures on f5. We have g captures on f5, castled. So no, that's actually a lot of stuff. e6 now sacrificing a pawn, but it won't help much. Okay, it won't help much. So we have now d captures on e6. Now you could go for knight captures instead of d captures. Sorry guys. Yeah, d captures on e6, knight to c5. Now attacking the e6 pawn that was attacking it. Now e captures on f7 to check, rook captures on f7, queen to a3. Now, well, if you move the knight, you are having this diagonal here. So we have knight to e6. Now, just to say it, it's all exposed. Aronian exposed his dark square, one of his diagonals here. So now that diagonal is completely occupied. You hear me correct? Occupied. So we have rook a to d1, offering a, like telling that I'm gonna capture a queen. So you just give me a queen. You can have my rook. But Magnus just says I'm actually too smart. Actually our Ornean says I'm too smart for that. So I'm just gonna move back. You can go for captures, but that also picks up the queen. So queen to f8. We have b to queen to b3. Now, actually, the knight and the rook are the only pieces protecting this diagonal here. And actually, the problem with this diagonal is that only two pieces are there, not including the king. Okay, of course. So now, the king is almost no escape because he has just two more squares to go. He has to come in the open. Rook to e8. Now this is actually a kind of weird move because after you move your knight you can capture it, but your Carlsen's knight picks up the rook. We have knight to d5. We have bishop to g7. Rook f to e1. It's actually a really terrible position for black. We have c5, queen to a3. Now, actually, the point is why he moved to queen to a3 is because he's following for this unprotected pawn. Well, you can go for the b5 pawn. Well, that's pretty much guarded, but you can go for that. I don't care. We have queen to a3, rook to a7, knight to d5, and then we have, not knight to d5, queen to a5. Actually I'm wearing glasses. So we have c4, a4, b4, knight to f6 with check, picking up the rook, and we have bishop captures on f6, e captures on f6, queen captures on f6, and we have queen captures on b4. Rook to g7, queen captures on c4, king to h8, rook to d6, and then we have pretty much rook e to g8. We have rook captures on e6, okay, and then we have captures with check, king to f1. Well, you cannot capture, right? And then we have queen captures on b2. Now, I'm going to give you guys a little hint on what is the last move that this Magnus played, so it's a checkmate. I'll give you guys a couple of seconds. So for those of you who have been able to do it, congratulations on spotting the only move that wins the game. And for those who want to enjoy the show, it's queen to d4 with check. Queen to d4 with check is guarded with the rook and the knight. And if the queen attacks, then the rook can attack, the knight can attack. Well, it's probably better for the knight to attack itself. So at this is the point where Aronian resigned the game, as there's actually nothing to save here from the check. You just it's like a queen trade. At the same time, you had to protect your king. So if you capture, then capture. It's not a problem here. So as they say, this is actually a really good game, guys. I also enjoyed it a lot, and I actually enjoyed it a lot. But I also watched the game, and it was actually a pretty good moves. Now, well, probably Carlsen did have one blunder. Yeah, one blunder, I think. So guys, that's it for this episode of chess.com. But remember, if you ever want to play with me, well, you can put it in the chat, well, the comment box, okay, comment section, and then you just go to chess.com and the website, and then you just create your account, tell me the username in my next video, and well, I will just send a friend request. You guys can accept that, and then we probably are friends. Okay, so guys, that's it for this episode of chess.com. Until next time, see ya.